There you are, ghoulies, and here we are once again on Crimson Theatre Milwaukee. And again, Rebecca, you've returned one more time.
How about that? I made it up here.
I made it up here to Milwaukee, of course, the one and only Milwaukee broadcast of Crimson Theatre. Now, for 12 years in Milwaukee, Crimson Theatre's going on.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
I don't know who's keeping track, but we certainly are.
We are, yes.
You've got to blow your own horn or no one will blow it for you.
That's true. Very true.
Well, you know, somebody might, but you don't want to use that thing after they're done.
Yeah.
Anyway, ghoulies, we got a great feature for you tonight. We're delving into the beatnik subculture, the artist, poet mystery of life. And, of course, predates East Coast hippiedom. Or West Coast. Oh, I don't know my West Coast or my East Coast. It's East Coast, right.
California coast.
Where it all began. And Roger Corman and a nice directorial debut here. Well, probably wasn't his directorial debut, but he made a lot of movies, and he never lost a dime. I think there's a book or something like that to that subject. But you see the usual cast of Roger Corman players in this. Of course, these movies predate his work with Vincent Price and all the Edgar Allan Poe classics and whatnot. But a lot of good work here. And Bucket of Blood turns out to be a much better film than one might expect. The title, of course, is a bit misleading.
A little bit, yeah.
Yes, I didn't see any blood in the movie.
I can't say I did either.
No, I didn't see any Hershey syrup.
A little disappointment, but, you know.
The movie still delivers with all that.
Does.
Lets the imagination run wild as a busboy in a beatnik art club is thoroughly abused and rejected and strives to be an artist. And just like some horror host we know, hasn't the talent to pull it off, but that's all right. You'll see what happens if you abuse these characters and what comes down the line. Anyway, a lot of announcements here we are currently aware of, and that is on February 14th through 16th, Anime Milwaukee, which you are already planning on attending.
Yes, I'm already excited for that one. So.
And what makes Anime Milwaukee different than, say, Anime Kalamazoo?
I don't know. Is there one in Kalamazoo?
Oh, I'm sure there is. Isn't there? It's quite a popular subject.
I haven't been to Kalamazoo, but Anime Milwaukee, I've been going for years now. It started pretty small, and it's still a little bit more intimate setting. So it's just lots of fun, different things going on all the time.
Well, think of the different things going on all the time up here in Milwaukee. Also, Friday, February 14th, Art Carnival at the Grand Avenue Mall, and I believe that's in the basement. The Rockabilly Girl puts on many productions there, and they've got a little art colony in the basement there. Hey, actually, reminds me a little bit of tonight's movie.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of artists hanging out,
Hopefully it doesn't end up like tonight's movie.
Hopefully it doesn't end up like tonight's movie, but considering the Art Carnival is in Milwaukee, and of course, Milwaukee is the serial killer capital of the world, it could very much end up that way.
It could be an interesting show.
Yes. It wouldn't be the first time an artist snapped somewhere, that's for sure. And then Sunday, February 16th, Gardens and Gears Steampunk at the Domes in Milwaukee. You missed out on the Dome show.
I did. I couldn't go.
I know. You were cooking that special Thanksgiving. Did you ever blow up the turkey, by the way?
I did blow up the turkey.
The turkey blew up. All right.
It was a mess. Disaster.
Well, from what I understand, it just covered the walls everywhere, and at least, you ate your way to a cleaner house.
That's true, yes.
That must have been a mess. Well, there's tentative plans for House of Wax in 3D at the Times Cinema. House of Wax in 3D. I saw Times broadcast or the presentation of House of Wax once there, and after seeing Vincent Price's House of Wax several times on television, seeing it in 3D was a whole different experience. So if
better or worse, do you think?
What's that?
Better or worse, do you think?
Much better. The 3D works amazingly in that movie, and after seeing it on television so many times and knowing the movie in and out, it's quite fantastic to see how you're in the movie. You're right there with Vincent Price. It's really cool. And that's what's that slated for March 14th? What's the tentative part here, Nick? I'm missing something.
We haven't signed the contract yet.
Oh, they haven't signed the contract yet. Well, they better sign the contract before they make an announcement here. Of course, I've done 12 years of shows without a contract.
That's true.
Yes. There you go. Of course, March 21st to 23rd, we'll see us in Cincinnati, Ohio for Horror Hounds big convention coming up there. I know they've got Daryl from The Walking Dead. Does it even matter who else is showing
The
up?
Walking Dead is everywhere.
There you go. Hence, we have the crossbow, just in case. I've never quite related to the whole zombie situation.
No.
They're a smelly, unruly lot, you know?
They are, but they can be fun sometimes.
That reminds me of that the Grinch song. How's it go? Stink, stank, stunk. Ooh, messy crowd. I guess they're a fun-loving bunch, but anyway. Okay, Horrorama. It's coming up again. Again, another production by the Rockabilly Girl in the basement of the Grand Avenue Mall. And we did that last year. It was a lot of fun, and it looks like it's going to be May this year. So it's good to have those events and probably a little bit better weather, because obviously from what I've seen on television, people in Milwaukee don't know how to drive on the highway when they get a little bit of snow. Terrible conditions here. You know what I'm talking about? In any case, terrible conditions are going to prevail because you are going to be headfirst in Bucket of Blood. And as we dive deep into the beatnik subculture. You know, I've actually had a formal education in beatnik subculture.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wow. He's an expert.
Loaded up on English classes and was on the roll with Jack Kerouac for a while.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Must have some fun stories.
A lot of haikus. yeah, it's just one of those strange places. Of course, we do have a bonus clip here of one of my my mentors and college professors who looks like he could have stepped right out of this movie, to tell you the truth. And it was an interview I had with him about his artwork. And he presents a really cool Salvador Dali movie.
Ooh, interesting.
So we've got that extra bonus poopy at the end of the entire movie. But right now, you got to get into it. Get yourself together here with some poetry, some art, and some beat culture, because you're heading straight into Bucket of Blood on Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theatre. You're always having a good time unless you're an abused artist, and aren't they all? There you are, ghoulies, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be a cat inside the wall.
Oh, not at all.
In this movie.
Where did that cat come from?
How did the cat get in the wall?
Oh, man, I have no clue.
Is it the neighbor's cat? I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out. Ghoulies, if you know what just happened, you know, you can always get a hold of us at, the one word, destruction. Of course, one word isn't it. You know, someone's going to try that. Well, that's terrible conditions here. And, well, the instrument of death here as we...
Yes. We
seem to have assembled plenty of them. I mean, there's rope, there's a belt, there's... Is breakfast coming? I don't know.
I don't know. Which one are we using next?
I don't know. I'm a little confused here what's going on, but, you know, that's all right. We know that the cat was... shouldn't have been in the wall.
Nope,
He got the lucky spot. I don't know where we're going with this, but... you know, the whole scene where he accidentally bumps his head on the hanging light, and, of course, you've got the light... very much like the picture of Dorian Gray after he kills the artist.
Oh, yeah.
There's a connection here, I feel.
Feels like it, yeah.
I think that Roger Corman probably had a connection with the beatnik culture artists and some of his actors, so this particular performance by these guys probably wasn't too much of a stretch.
Probably not too much, no.
I don't know. I'd have to talk to some genuine Beat Generation personalities to ask them if, you know, is this some real beatnik culture here, or is this, you know, a bad stereotype?
Yeah, it'd be an interesting thing to find out.
Definitely would. We'll have to research that one. It reminds me a lot of my college professor, though, my art professor, who, by the way, on the original, you know, this is some 10 years ago, back in the wilds of Kenosha, that Dennis Bayuzik, look him up. Look up Dennis Bayuzik. A fantastic painting. But he came on the show, and I said, well, you know, we're going to show this movie Bucket of Blood. He's like, well, I don't know about that. I mean, that's just the way he is about stuff. Anyway, he brought along the Salvador Dali feature that we'll show here at the end, and said, well, it was a bargain if he would, you know, show that. I go, well, we got plenty of time because Bucket of Blood is not that long of a movie. So I humored him and showed the Salvador Dali movie, which I certainly loved. A lot cutting edge, more cutting edge than tonight's actual movie. But nevertheless, I gave him a tape. He said he wanted to show the show for his students. Not the first time that Crimson Theater has actually been shown at a university. It's happened at Marquette up here, from what I understand. And one of the more controversial episodes, Tetsu the Iron Man. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but you should. In any case, he later told me that he ended up liking Bucket of Blood. So it got a thumbs up of approval there.
Well, that's good.
A lot of interesting stuff going on here. Very disturbed artist. I'm feeling a little bit of Psycho. Maybe this is a knockoff of Psycho a little bit. You know, a lot of these B-rate movies of Roger Corman's, you know, had ties to other things. But that's a good thing. It's actually pretty good, isn't it, Ghoulies?
It's so far pretty good.
You know, those tortured soul types. They're so good on screen. And, well, this guy fits the cake, you know. Never upset the busboy, the waitress, or the delivery driver. Because the fact of the matter is, there's a whole lot of saliva between you getting your food and where it came from. So just keep that in mind.
That is so
and
true.
tip your servers well. And I'll give you a tip right now. You're getting right back into it. Bucket of Blood on Crimson Theatre Milwaukee, where we're always having a good time. And I don't know. Oh, there you are, Ghoulies. And if you've ever been married, you've probably come close to death with a frying pan at least once in your life, as this poor fellow did, who is Bert Convey, a talk show game host from television. I'd like to give a few of them guys a whack over the head with a frying pan.
Yeah.
But certainly, everyone is anyone that's been married, any guys that have been married anyway, know all about the devastation a frying pan can inflict.
That's true, yeah. Very much so. So now, the cat was supposed to be in clay, right? Why didn't it look like it was in clay?
Well, I can speak as somewhat of a sculptor myself, or a wannabe, that clay doesn't harden to look like plaster. These things look more like they were just sealed up in plaster, which would have been much effective. If it was simply clay, it would have cracked and got wet right away.
That's what I thought,
and revealed. So I don't know what's going on here, but this guy became a famous artist nevertheless. And a lot of artists, you know, there's a lot of artists under the microscope by people that don't understand art properly, or maybe they're right, that say, oh, a kid could have done that. You know, Picasso's a good one. I'm not a Picasso fan. Not a fan of his work.
Not so much.
I don't know. That can almost go along with the layman's idea that any kid could have done that.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was a cruel man and liked to burn his models with cigarettes and stuff like that, from what I've heard.
Not
good. Yeah, not a big Picasso fan.
Yeah, I can't say I am either. But
you know, but I mean, art is like this really strange thing. You know, it's like you could probably just go purchase some child's artwork from an elementary school, and if you were an intellectual enough to explain it to the artistic community, therein lies the art itself, perhaps. I mean, you know, we've all seen those.
I feel like that.
All seen those paintings with 3 solid colors. I'm not a fan. I don't know. I was taught in Renaissance art myself. We did have to do some abstract stuff, and I had a feel. I wish I had some of those left. It would have been perfect for tonight's movie.
That's true, yeah.
You got to be careful, though. You got to be careful. There was all these projects. Roland Jansky, look him up too. Some really cool stuff. But of course, he was into the abstract, and I was not. And but I wanted to get good grades. So the wildest, the thing that he wanted us to try that was the most repulsive to me, and the thing I thought was just the stupidest thing in the world. Guess what? That's what I jumped on and rolled with.
Oh yeah.
And I made this one sculpture. Because we had a live model, this girl.
Yeah.
And nude models, of course. And I built this big thing up of the female figure, but I made the head really small. And I don't know if that was intentional, but the art history professor was a female, and she raked me over the coals for that, saying that I was demeaning women and everything else. And I was like, you know, I didn't even think of that. Because, the head was kind of like when you take the head off a Barbie.
Yeah.
There's just that little ball there.
Yeah, the little nose.
Oh, well, you know, you can't please everybody all
That's
the time.
true.
I wonder Erica Rand, whatever happened to her? You got to remember some of these college professors, you know.
That's
Usually
true.
most of the students enter into these classes and then are subjected to things they, never, like drawing with your left hand if you're right-handed and such, and rejected all these things. And, we're clashing and try to argue the point with the professors. And what I found is you're not going to win the argument.
Nope, not
these
at
guys
all.
are masters at what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. And then
the grades.
Why are you arguing with them? Because you went to them to get the knowledge in the first place. But, sometimes what you seek isn't always what you want. Like a lot of our movies here on Crimson Theatre. So get right back into it. Bucket of Blood on Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theatre. We're still waiting for blood. We're still waiting for a bucket. We're still waiting for a contract. And, well, there you go. Oh, that's one way to deal with a blonde that you're upset with.
I guess so, yeah.
And she even was tormenting this poor guy, too.
She was. So she had it coming a bit.
She's the one that almost ruined his career already in this part of the movie because she's already bad-mouthing the guy, undermining his talent, and then reminding him he's only the busboy.
Oh, what a jerk.
Well, you know, I'm sure several fine artists out there throughout Milwaukee land are pizza drivers and bus boys and in the service industry.
That's true, yes.
That's no insult to them. It's just an insult to society as a whole, I guess. Interesting. Deciding to become an artist, you're putting your neck out on the line to begin with, you know?
You are,
It's almost like politics, you know? You're putting your head on the chopping block where most of our politicians seem to belong right now. Maybe we just need to get the blonde in this movie to go humiliate the politicians like she's humiliating this guy.
Maybe.
Well, down in Kenosha, they're still waiting for a casino that Scott Walker can't make a decision.
That's just ridiculous.
Now, I'm not going to get into the right or left of politics, but you know, yes or no, sir. Yes or no. That's all we need. Huh?
Make up your mind. None of this
well, it's election time. He's afraid to make up his mind because he's going to either way. People aren't going to be happy.
We're not happy without a decision either.
Well, Kenosha wasn't happy with Scott Walker, period. But they might change their mind a little bit if you give them a little bit of, opportunity.
That's true.
It's a two-way street here because either you keep the money in Wisconsin, in Kenosha, or they put the casino down in Waukegan in what do they call that, Beach Park City. And then Illinois gets Wisconsin's money going to Illinois. So, boy, is he in a spot.
He is, yeah.
By the way, we invited him to be on the show, but...
you didn't take it?
No.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be a great idea to have him on with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but he didn't seem to like that too much.
I believe that one.
Huh? Well, we could be a double feature, It could be Scott Walker for Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then we could get Mayor Barrett for The Mummy's Hand. He could have made his own version.
That's true.
Oh, no. He was a good guy. Stepped in you see some battle going on, and your own mayor steps in to break that up. That's, quite commendable. Even though we're making fun, don't take it too seriously here. This is Crimson Theatre.
Never take anything seriously.
Especially when it comes out of my mouth. And you can take this serious and to the bank. You're getting right back into it. That's right. Bucket of blood on Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theatre. And it's just straight up fun whenever we have a Roger Corman film ready to ride. There you are, ghoulies. And here we go. Death by Machine Shop. Now this poor devil that's working hard, the machine shop didn't do anything to this guy.
I know. What was that about?
I don't know. I guess he's under pressure from the owner of the coffee house to crank out more artistic pieces.
I guess so. Too much pressure.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I guess it works for him.
I guess.
And again, these all seem to be plaster coated.
They look it, yeah.
And even being that he's doing these works in plaster, he's knocking them out incredibly fast.
He is, yeah.
So I guess he does have some artistic talent, except when he's with a ball of clay. He's taking
Can't do clay.
I like the first part where it's, come on, a mouth, and he keeps punching holes into it. Only Roger Corman could do. Yeah, I was trying to get an interview with Roger Corman, by the way, for the Big Top Radio broadcast, and his secretary, she had an interesting accent. I don't know if I can quite place it, and I couldn't hear her too well, and I asked her once too many times, okay, what was that? She hung up on me.
Oh,
so I left that one alone. I felt, out of all my successes with getting interviews.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to also say, speaking of which, I'm glad I remember now, we do have to give a tip of the top hat. Unfortunately, Tom Laughlin, who plays Billy Jack, passed away. I don't know if I mentioned that previously on the show. Maybe I did. He passed away in the past couple of weeks, and he was a guest of the Big Top Radio broadcast.
Yes.
Billy Jack was a coming-of-age film for me when I saw it when I was 12. The rumors around the schoolyard from the other ghoulie kids was that, you could see a lot of nudity in this film, and there was this guy beating everybody up with karate. Okay. Well, that would draw any 12-year-old in, I'm telling you what. Upon seeing the film, though, it was a much bigger picture, And it was a very enlightening film, and I gotta say, it changed my life in some ways. So I'm definitely saddened by the loss of Tom Laughlin, Billy Jack. Everyone should check that one out. At least you can get a couple clips on YouTube. If you look up Billy Jack on there, they've got a couple of his best scenes. Billy Jack in the ice cream parlor is probably one of the best. We need a little more Billy Jacks in the world, of course. Billy Jack for president was submitted at one point. But he's no longer with us, and it was interesting. I got the urge or the notion to track down Billy Jack and find out what he was doing now, and I found there was a Billy Jack store. So I ended up calling the store, and an older gentleman was on the phone, and I talked to him for a good half hour and said why I wanted to interview him and whatnot. And the gentleman told me that he was going to get me in touch and, you know, give my information to the proper people to set up an interview. Well, I didn't hear from him at all after that. And after I got off the phone, though, with this gentleman, I kind of had a sneaking suspicion that I might have been talking to Tom Laughlin already.
Wow.
So I kept at it and kept getting the same gentleman, and this went on for maybe 4 phone calls where he finally, after he, you know, basically this guy gave me the information I would have gotten out of the interview. So that helped me out for the interview. That was a good thing. This guy gave me all the information. Same guy, same voice. Finally, he said, well, I'm going to give you this number of my representation, not my, Freudian slip, the representation to set up this interview. So I got in touch with this lady. She set up the interview. And while I'm waiting, you know, because we were live then, and I'm waiting for 6 o'clock and for him to be on, and I'm thinking the whole time, here's where the reveal is going to be, because when you're in radio, you pay attention to the voices so much more. And I thought, I'm going to know if I've been talking to him all along. Yeah. He got on the radio, and I realized I had 4 conversations with Tom Laughlin already.
That's
so
cool.
That, you know, made a lot of sense, because he pretty much told me what the other guy told me, which wasn't another guy. So that was, you know, a really cool story. So Tom Laughlin, definitely missed. I don't know if you've ever seen the 4 Billy Jack movies. Of course, there's The Born Losers, which was the first one he did. And it was probably one of the first biker movies. It predates Easy Rider. And, you know, Billy Jack's up against a biker gang in that one. And then the actual Billy Jack movie came out and was huge success for an independent film. Sort of the Blair Witch Project of its day, in a sense, just because it was so independent.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was Trial of Billy Jack and Billy Jack Goes to Washington. They're all worth watching, and you should watch them in that chronological order. I think we could probably get away with showing Born Losers.
That'd
I think we could. That's an American International film. And, well, Billy, you know, Tom Laughlin and his wife, Dolores Taylor, they were traveling through some of the really bad Indian reservations, and that's where he got the whole notion for the Billy Jack movies. And Hollywood didn't really want anything to do with it because they didn't want to show racial discrimination in a movie back then against the Indians. And he kind of was one of the first ones to change that. And, of course, Mr. Tom Laughlin, Billy Jack, is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and
that's pretty cool.
he played football here. He had a rival in Kenosha.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
He played football here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I believe Gene Wilder is also from Milwaukee. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. Well, after I went on and on with some people about, you know, how much I like Tom Laughlin and Billy Jack, I got some disgruntled people saying that he actually beat up Gene Wilder. Oh, well, kids will be kids, and movies will be movies, and sometimes they're kind of groovy. They're kind of beatnik. I mean, it's kind of like, wow, trees and birds, elephants and their turds. And as the sun sets, so the poppies will bloom. Wow. Wow. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight's horrifying melodrama as much as I did. We got very involved here.
We did.
You know, it's good to dive deep into your work. Put your spirit into it. And, well, I feel these actors gave it their all.
I think so, too.
I wonder what they got paid from Roger Corman.
Probably not a lot.
I don't know. You know, actually, from what I heard, initially, Vincent Price didn't even get paid for his Roger Corman performances.
Wow.
No, what happened is Roger Corman set the whole thing up as a retirement trust fund for Vincent Price.
Oh,
so, you know, Vincent Price had money, but he was delighted to know that he was going to have money in his later years. You know? Even though he had no probably clue that he had a good 20 years of work after Roger Corman. So I don't know what happened with the trust, but that's how Roger Corman paid him. So these actors are probably as many working for peanuts for their big
That's
break.
true, yeah. Maybe
But-
they all got funds too for retirement.
I'm not sure about that, or who knows what they got. I mean, we're talking about a lot of movies made in the heyday of the, beat, hippie culture.
That's true,
So
yeah.
who knows what? But a lot of these, you'll see a lot of these actors in tonight's movie, and several other Roger Corman features, and some of them were actually lucky enough to be in the ones with Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the director, Mr. Carbone, the director of the Beat Club, showed up in such movies as Creature of the Haunted Sea, and I think he's in Pit and the Pendulum. I think he's the bad guy that drives Vincent Price into madness. And Vincent Price is one of those. It's amazing. He could be the victim 1 minute, and he could be the villain the next. Quite interesting about
Very
Vincent Price.
interesting, man.
The whole legacy of the Roger Corman films are quite interesting. There's a lot to work with there for Crimson Theatre, and maybe we have to give a second look to some of Roger Corman's early work. I think we do.
I
Creature
think
of the
so.
Haunted Sea, that was a good one. Of course,
Yeah.
The Creature was looking pretty bad. But there's been a lot of remakes, but, Roger Corman certainly knew how to make. Well, he made, what did he say? He made 1,000 movies in Hollywood and never lost a dime. Because
That's really good.
He's a great director, and he managed to turn these things into genius, If only Ed Wood would have had half the spark of Roger Corman. Now, it's time for your greatest role yourself. I know you've been waiting for your big break, and
Here it is.
it's time. It is definitely time. So you have a horrifying week, ghoulies, and we'll see you next time on Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theatre. This won't hurt a bit.